Okay, good morning, everyone. We'll get started, just giving folks a couple of maybe 30 seconds to join, and then we'll get started. All right, let's get started. Good morning, everybody, and good afternoon, depending on where you are. It's our third in the series of the BPESA Member Showcase events. These events have been put in place for us to provide a platform for our members and to display, or for them to basically show the value and the services that they offer into the GBS sector and contact center sectors in South Africa. This is a hugely active and growing sector. And it's probably one of the only sectors that showed growth through the COVID lockdown period. As you'll probably appreciate, it's in that time that a lot of companies were having to reactivate their indirect and interactive communications with their customers. And so that really showed huge growth. It continues to grow. BPESA expects the growth to continue at the mid 20% year on year, and looking to add 500,000 jobs into this sector by 2030. So a huge opportunity for everyone that is involved in the sector. And so, I'm going to basically hand over to our speakers. The next speaker, or the order of proceedings, is going to be a presentation by Pivotal Data. I'll introduce Claudia to you shortly. That'll be followed by a presentation by Swindon Properties, and Chantal will join us after Claudia. And then right at the end, we'll have Vodacom Business featuring AWS, and Nathan from Amazon will be talking to us about what they are doing in this market. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are. And so with that, I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to then, no, I need to stop sharing. And then I am, sorry if you just bear with me. Sorry about that, I've got way too many screens on my desk. But anyway, let me introduce you to Claudia Nogueira, who's the Head of Business Development at Pivotal Data. Claudia has been involved in the telephony and contact center industry for the last 10 years. And for the last almost 2 years, he's been active at Pivotal Data. Pivotal Data provides cloud contact center solutions, omni-channel customer experience software, and cloud IPBX solutions. So with that, Claudia, I'm going to hand over to you. You're welcome to share your desk or your slides with us, and then you have about 15 minutes or so to tell us what you are involved in at Pivotal Data. Over to you, Claudia.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Neville. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, where everyone is all over the world. Neville, just before we carry on, just want to double check that all the logistics are sorted. So I just want to share my screen and make sure that you guys can see it.
Yep, you're good to go, Claudia.
100%. All right. Fantastic. So thank you very much, Neville, and good morning to everyone on this amazing forum. 15 minutes is unfortunately not a lot of time for me to kind of get into the nuts and bolts and the nitty gritty, but it's a great opportunity for me just to present Pivotal Data and what we do not only in the South African market, but in the African market and most recently in the European market. So I'm going to share some stories with you. I'd like to take you on a journey and give you a visual look of exactly what Pivotal does and what we've done at some of our clients to give you a visual journey so you can understand exactly the solutions that we do. With time being very limited, instead of me introducing Pivotal Data to you, what I'd like to do is just share a video which will give you a nice intro into who Pivotal Data is. Fantastic. Whoopsie, sorry about that. So thank you. In summary, Pivotal Data are industry experts in CX, customer center, digital transformation, and enterprise communications. If you look to the right of the slide, you'll see the almost pyramid shape of our solutions that we do and the services that we offer. With, again, the limited time that I have with you, I'm going to focus on one, which is specifically contact center and CX platforms. The way that I do this is I'm going to take you on a journey with visual case studies of what we've done at some of our clients worldwide, so you can get an actual view of the solutions. Very high level, before I start my story and my journey with you, is these are the solutions that we provide in the contact center CX platform. As you can see, there's numerous solutions that we provide. And unfortunately, I could sit for hours and talk about every single solution that we have in great depth and express to you the value and business benefit that it does. Unfortunately, with time, I cannot, and hence the visual representation of the story I'd like to do. On the slide currently, you'll see that there's 5 pillars that we look at, that we base our solutions on, with customer interactions, insights not only into what your customers are doing, but internally what your agents are doing, voice biometrics, with the amount of e-commerce fraud and financial institution fraud. It is a need, not a nice to have, but I have to have currently in this environment. Workforce engagement, so looking at your internal staff and how can we get them to be more productive, and then service automation, taking things like WhatsApp for Business and bots and introducing them into the business. So very high level, these are the amazing solutions that we have implemented amongst customers around the globe. And what I'd like to do now is just give you a short visual story about some of these customers and how we assisted them. I'm hoping that each of you can relate to one of these stories. We've tried to cover as many verticals as possible, and I'm hoping to at least get your input on some of them and say that I can align with Claudio's story. So the first one we're going to have a look at is Alex. So Alex is an IT manager at a growing company. He's picked up 4, call it, challenges or concerns that he needs to cater for his business. Now, being an IT manager, he's obviously more worried about the technical portion than actually the business value when it comes to an operational side. So what we sat with Alex and said, what are your current issues and what do you want us to solve? So the first was the workload. The second was integrations. The third was administration of the solutions, and the fourth was maintenance of the solutions. As you can imagine, this is relevant to anyone into the IT manager environment, and these are 4 of the many kind of challenges or obstacles that they have to achieve on a daily basis with looking at new solutions. So when it came to workload, Pivotal Data Solutions give an overextended IT team relief by ensuring technical systems are in line with business goals. So what does this mean? Currently, IT teams are taking numerous tickets from their users, their end users, the people working in their business with issues with the system. Implementing stable solutions with a proven track record and solid SLAs will provide that relief that these IT divisions are looking at. So they are not kept busy with tickets that are logged, but more busy with developing and finding new solutions for the business to improve business. On the integration side, our solutions are pre-built with integrations. Now, what that means in very simplistic terms is that we are taking integration projects from weeks and months to simply days. We have pre-built integrations into CRMs, ticketing systems, which is a much cleaner way of doing it and obviously cuts down the time and brings in all the information into one platform. From an easy administration point of view, configuring permissions, roles, and accounts. Our solutions make it easier for non-technical users to take on tasks. Again, taking that responsibility away from the IT team so they can be more proactive in what they are doing and putting it onto the operational people within a contact center. Very easy to use by adding users, changing users, designing IVR flows, call flows. Take that task away from IT, providing it to the operational people who at the end of the day are making those decisions. Easy administration will take that burden off the IT team. And then maintenance, very important. So our solutions, our cloud solutions are all in one cloud tools. So there's immediate updates, upgrades without maintenance windows. Again, taking the stress away from the IT team and not concerned about going and having time where we have to close down the business to do these upgrades. One of our solutions, one of our leading solutions has new features on a weekly to monthly basis that comes out that is included in the solution. Hence, these are all tested before, and when we go live, we implement and it works. So taking that minimal maintenance away from the IT field. This is the first story of Alex, the IT manager. The second story, journey I'd like to take you on is Sue. So this one is quite close to my heart because I can relate to it. So Sue is responsible for sales on an e-commerce site. Her 4 points that she spoke to us about was the digital experience of her customers, her web conversions, whether sales, and then inside sales. So her actual team inside her business and how can they support these digital channels. And then strong systems. A lot of systems in the background with a lot of information. How can we incorporate this into the digital transformation structure that we're looking at? So please take note that Sue's obviously from an e-commerce website where everything is done pretty much on the website with various channels that can support it. So from a digital experience side, agents now can manage customer conversations seamlessly across multiple channels from one desktop application. Very important. Providing your customers with multiple channels that they are comfortable with to communicate with you. Do not provide them with one channel that you prefer. Provide them with options. The younger generation are not as effective on voice, but yet what they do is social media. And you have to be able to provide that on one platform and have one customer journey for the digital experience. Also, from a management point of view, Sue has full control over key performance indicators, escalations, and recalls. This is very important because it turns from a reactive to proactive on the digital side. Web conversions. We implemented a solution called predictive engagement, which gave her higher conversions on a website. Now, basically what predictive engagement is, it's artificial intelligence that analyzes and shapes customers' experiences so that you're engaging with the right customer at the right time in the right way. And I'd like to go within a story to another story because this happened to me. I like wearing sneakers. I'm a big fan of Adidas sneakers. And I usually go to one website that I purchase my sneakers on. Usually what happens if they don't have my size, for example, there's usually a web chat that pops up and I make contact with the agent and I ask them about my size and do they have stock. This is a common web chat feature. The only problem what Sue was experiencing is that it's very reactive. So me as a customer reaches out to the client or to the e-commerce and says, I'm looking for this. Now, what predictive engagement does using AI is turn that around to proactive, which is very important. So same scenario, Claudio's on the website looking for sneakers. With AI and the actual data we have on Claudio, we can now make smart decisions in the background. So instead of being reactive, we proactive by predicting what is going to happen. So with predictive engagement, we pop up a proactive web chat and the agent doesn't say, good morning, how can I help you? The agent with this information knows that Claudio 9 out of 10 times buys size 9 white Adidas sneakers. It's my favorite. So with this data, they can now see that the sneakers that I usually buy are not in stock or they do not have my size. So instead of being reactive, what they're doing is proactive and saying, Claudio, good morning. We see you looking at the Adidas sneakers. Unfortunately, we don't have your size today. Stock will only come in a month. However, we have some amazing Nike white sneakers that we would like to position to you. And these ones are on special. Would you like to can I send you a link over this chat? What that does is create a higher conversion, because I was looking for one thing and now the business has predictively informed me about new products or solutions that they offer that will now turn my focus onto that. And obviously, if the size is right and the price is right, 9 out of 10 I will purchase that, even though it's not an Adidas. So very important and very strong in the e-commerce world. Inside sales, how can she incorporate a whole team in the sales process? So blending inbound and outbound teams support more innovative campaigns for higher sales figures. The ability now to have these agents managed on an inbound, outbound, and digital channels will only improve the ability to close the deal when people are on your website or giving you a call for information, or vice versa, you phoning clients with specials. And then strong systems. Our solutions connect systems for clearer context, better visibility, and stronger performance. This is, in the predictive engagement world, very important. They have the data of me, they know what I usually buy, and now they can persuade me to look at something else. And for me, it just provides an excellent customer experience, which at the end of the day on an e-commerce website is exactly what you're looking for. The customer experience, smooth, automated process. The next journey and story I'd like to take you on is Steve. So Steve is a customer service agent. All right. So he's not a leader. He's not a director. He's a person that actually uses the system, an agent. And his main points was speed, ease, context, and some free time. So what did we do with Steve? We understood the why. By understanding the customer's journey within Steve's business, we can solve problems, making Steve's job less stressful. So with a full customer journey of every interaction that comes into the business, Steve, by the time he gets the call, has a full view of what has been said and then can make decisions quicker to provide a CX that is best suited to the clients and that what they are expecting. Ease. So what we did is easy channel surfing. Siloed system for Steve to log out of one and into another application. Our solution puts it all in one system, whether it's integration into your backend systems or the data that we have in our solutions, gives Steve the ability to not waste time or take the time by logging in various multiple applications. It's all in one screen, and you can have full view of exactly what's going on. Context. Context is critical to any agent. Now, with some of our solutions that we provide, we have full interaction history. Exactly the same as almost understanding the why above, is we now have a customer that's called or sending an email or talking to you on socials. By the time Steve gets that information, he can actually see the context of what that interaction history is. Whether it's a complaint, he can escalate and he can handle, or whether it's a sale, he can now move forward with that process. That information is available to him and he can physically see the customer journey and how many times that customer has tried to make contact with that business on a daily basis. Free time, as any agent, they want to have less overtime. So with operational excellence, which is a consulting division within Pivotal Data, we are able to assist businesses to increase agent productivity and performance with various solutions. It's a consulting service. So what that means is we sit with the clients, we understand, or the agents in this case, we sat with Steve, we understand his pains and try to optimize by automating certain processes, understanding the why, giving him the full interaction history so that he can stop his job when he needs to and not carry on updating after hours. Chris is a customer experience director. So she runs her company's call center. Her concerns and what she wanted to achieve was within the channel world, system world, future needs, and team morale. So from a channel side, the right channels were implemented. Our Pivotal Data solutions can aid Chris by adding new channels and her team at any point, whether it's WhatsApp, voice, any omni-channel solution that is available, including video, can be provided to Chris at a quick and easy implementation to provide her customers the ability to make contact with her business on their preferred channel. Systems. Multiple channels used to mean multiple systems. Obviously, it's a big mess. So what we do is we streamline that process. Just taking Steve's example in the beginning, by optimizing certain processes, integration, and bringing in all the information, you can streamline all these systems that you don't have to have multiple applications running. Future needs. So we've given Chris the opportunity to grow her division within the business. Now we can give Chris the opportunity to say yes to any other department within the business that wants to push more ways to reach customers. She now has not only a partner that can assist her in these, but has the technology that is very capable of adding any channels at any point. Team morale, very important, especially in a customer experience environment. Ongoing frustrations, we're bringing morale down. So with the right tools, engagement, and NPS, scores are up. And then the last one. Benny's running a rapidly growing business. His 4 main points were cost, agility, timing, and team. So our solutions hits the mark with various commercial models. Transparent, some per user per month, some are pay per use, and some have subscription paid upfront. These are all how we are able to provide solutions from a commercial model to make sure that it meets your budget. Agility is the ability to deliver new features. We set the pace, and with all the work we've done in the background, we are able to implement in a quick time, which comes next to the time to spare. Customers have gone live in as little as a week. And we know that with Ben has strict, aggressive timelines, we can match those timelines with our projects team. And then team. Happy team by offering a solution that covers everything for them with the ability that they can see a fresh interface and a single screen that contains all the information. I'm not going to go through Joe because I know that Neville we're on a time, so I'm going to skip that. So how do we do this? And the journey that I took here, it's very simple. We've got an amazing team of people at Pivotal Data. We've got 50 certified CX professionals on a technical basis, which means not only technically can we make the solution work and work with your teams, but we also have a consulting which brings in the operational side of the business. So from a technical point of view, we are currently in one of our solutions, the most skilled vendor in Africa on one of our solutions. And with our operation excellence, we now bring those two skills together from a technical and an operational point of view. We've got a global reach. We've just recently moved into Europe with one of our clients, and pretty much have amazing client base in Africa. So this is how we do it. This was a very short time. I'm on 10 minutes, I think. So I think I'm within the time, Neville. But thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate the time. 100%. And obviously, I will stick around for any questions afterwards.
Thank you, Claudia. All right. Well, Chantal, you're welcome to get your slides up. Our next presentation is a bit of a change of gears. We're going to look at the property industry. Chantal is a senior broker for Swindon Properties and specializes in corporate advisory and global tenant representation. She has over 12 years of property broking and portfolio management experience, and has established herself as one of Cape Town's most reputable and trusted contact center brokers. Claudia, I'm going to hand over to you to tell us what Swindon Properties does.
Thank you, Neville. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present our business to you this morning. Indeed, a change of gear, but a very necessary part of the process, I would say. Yes, so Swindon Property is a global, we got a global reach. We are locally based. I myself is based in Cape Town. We have offices in Durban and in Johannesburg. As you can see from the screen, we were founded in 2006, and we pride ourselves as industry leaders in commercial leasing, sales, valuations, negotiations, etc. Then we also affiliated with Savills globally, and as you can see, Savills has a reach of 600 offices across the world in 70 countries. which facilitates for inbound and outbound business for Africa. I will later in the presentation tell you a bit more about case studies that we had between, for example, India and Cape Town, companies opening up shop on this side, as well as Durban and Cape Town, etc. So I'll leave the case studies for later. But for now, yes, just to give further information on our company in itself. And then also locally, we work closely with Pam Golding and into the African continent as well. So just to reiterate our global reach, not only local in South Africa. I'm just giving you a slideshow here of a couple of, just a map on where we are located. Happy to share the slideshow with you afterwards, just all contact details for each offices, if there's a need for that. That's the Swindon Outreach in Africa itself, and then, as mentioned, globally with Savills. Then just a couple of case studies, and these are non-GBS related, but I will give you GBS related case studies in a bit. Just to give you an idea from our corporate representation side, for example, at Corp South Africa, where we, let me just make this a bit bigger for you so you can read. Just very quickly brushing through it, on the bolder bits, there was a cost saving for AdCorp, where they signed a 12-year lease on a 20,000 square meter property. This was a consolidation of all their offices in Johannesburg. So, and through that, we were able to consolidate it and give them a massive cost saving as such. We also got mandated afterwards for their offices in Durban and Cape Town, which, yeah, turned out to be successful. Then on Global Solutions South Africa, same, they were in a lease where there were no early break clauses, and they wanted to investigate that further, so Swindon assisted them, and we facilitated a new deal for them on new premises, and put them in a position where they could sublease their previous premises, which we facilitated as well. So got them out of their current property and into the new one. And then for Nestle, there's a couple of examples, two in South Africa, one in Kenya, where we restructured their leases of their head office. And just to mention a few things, yeah, again, subleased their surplus space, cost savings in excess of 30% were realized. Furthermore, the distribution center as well, so not only commercially, but industrial properties as well. Where we consolidated their lease to a 38,000 square meter distribution center. And Nestle Kenya, we had a disposal of their head office in Nairobi for approximately 2,000 square meters. So I'll get out of these information so we can go closer to home and talk about more relevant matters. But yeah, just another brush over companies we've represented or are representing globally, such as Shell, Chevron, Oxford University Press, Medtronic, etc. Then just another couple of corporates, more locally, recently in the last 6 months or so, we've had the privilege of representing just a few local companies, such as EXL, which, yeah, don't need much of what we call introduction, and Boulder also expanding rapidly, and of course capability BPO. So with EXL and our representatives in India, we were able to establish relationships locally and across the board, that side as well. So within, it will show later up in the case study as well, but within a matter of 2 days, we took the call, assessed the situation, jumped on online calls after hours with the team in India. They had an urgent rollout, and within the same week we were able to take the head of a country to new premises and source and secure I think up to 5,000 square meters in Cape Town itself. Boulder, for example, they are based in Cape Town currently. They had a emergency 5-person rollout they had to facilitate within 2 weeks, and we represented them to find the solution immediately for 2 months, and then for their main head office in Cape Town as well. And then, of course, Capability, who is in Durban. We've got 2 big premises in Durban, who wanted to put up shop in Cape Town, and we facilitated that as well within a couple of weeks, just to put them onto, I think they launched in the 1st of December. So yeah, just the local guys that we're dealing with, but again, just reiterating our relationships with our global brokers on the other side, and yeah, our intensive tenant representation procedures that we follow to establish client requirements, their budgets, locations where their staff is located, their staff transport facilities, etc. So we do quite intensive work on that, and obviously we pride ourselves to be mandated by these clients. So it's just to streamline the process and give them that personalized services. So further to that, just on a couple of local case studies, which I've brushed on before, just showing the 2-week notice on a 50-desk operation for 2 months only, which we were able to, within those 2 weeks notice, of course, extensive contract negotiations. It's a bit of back and forth with regards to the admin, but within 2 weeks, we had a fully operational 5-person sitting in Cape Town for our clients. The next one, as I mentioned, we had close to 5,000 squares, which is fully fitted and furnished call center space that we unlocked for a client, international client, within a matter of days. And obviously, without the contract negotiation going back and forth and taking a little longer than usual, being international, the global company, within weeks they were busy, or they could take occupancy of the premises and start with their IT infrastructure. So just to reiterate on the speed of the processes and getting, as I mentioned before, our global members on board in all cities to go visit and be present in just to streamline processes as well. And then lastly, 2,000 square call center that was also unlocked, fully furnished, fully fitted for during the month of November for the 1st of December for our client to be operational kind of with urgency. So just on that, just to unpack further from the brokering side and what we do is, as I mentioned before, facilitating the requirements in terms of understanding what the client needs, their staff count. We take everything from our designer teams. We've got teams that do space planning and fit outs and builds on premises in the cases where it's necessary, unlike the last bunch that was all fitted and furnished. But in that, not only having access to vacant buildings, negotiating good rentals, rent-free periods, beneficial occupation periods, and of course having both the tenant and the landlord's best interest at heart to negotiate good deals, but more so important relationships going forward for both parties. Because often we find with call centers, obviously they expand, and we always try and keep it internal with the current premises so that the landlord can benefit their growth as well. But further to that, just understanding clients' needs and kind of holding their hand through the process, because it's not a very frequent situation where companies need to expand. So within dealing with the facilities managers, we take them through the whole process and work closely with them. And then lastly, and in closing, I think I might be a bit ahead of schedule. I'm hoping for a couple of Q&As afterwards. Just again, we are a global network of client representatives, so there's literally not a place in the world that we almost can't reach. We've got monthly and bi-monthly vacancy schedules, staying up to market, staying updated on what's going on in the market. We're constantly investigating market trends, and not only locally, as I mentioned, but globally. We have newsletters going out. But that's more, as I said, with companies not often moving, we pride ourselves in being educated on all of that so that we can inform our clients so they can make informed decisions, and obviously presenting the best possible deals for them within their budgets and timelines, etc. And that was about it from my side. I'm happy to share the slide or our contact details globally if anyone's interested, and I welcome a couple of questions if there are.
Thank you, Chantal. That was great. Thank you, and you bought us back some time. Well done.
Thank you,
Neville. So next up, we've got AWS presenter Nathan George, who is representing our member Vodacom Business. Now, Nathan, I've known for quite some time, but Nathan heads up the partner strategy and execution for AWS for the contact center product, Amazon Connect, which I think, as most of you should know now, he heads that up for Europe, Middle East, Africa, and he has had 25 years experience in the contact center space, having forged strategic alliances for Siemens, Witness, and Verint, with Avaya, Nortel, Cisco, and numerous other contact center as a service vendors. Now, with Amazon contact centers having recently been declared generally available in South Africa, I think he's got a lot to tell us in regard to that. And so with that, Nathan, I'm going to hand over to you, and you two have about 15 minutes, and then following that, we'll go into some questions. So please, guys, if there's any questions, please post those in the Q&A, and we'll address those at the end of Nathan's talk. Thanks, Nathan. Over to you.
Thanks, Neville. Great to see you again. And Chantal, really interesting. It's, living in the technology space, it's, we see technology all day long. It's really interesting to see what you guys do in the technology space with contact centers as well. Thank you. So, yeah, and thanks again for the opportunity to present. I've been, as Neville said, I've been in the contact center space now for longer than I really care to remember, about 25 years. 4 years ago, I was at the event where Amazon launched Amazon Connect, and I remember that it was in Florida, and I remember telling them afterwards, I thought it was the most exciting and revolutionary thing that happened in the space in all the time I'd been in it. I wasn't angling for a job, but I did eventually move over. 3 years after that, I moved over to work in the Connect team about a year and a half ago. And I'm more convinced now than I was then about Connect, and that there are some really radical things happening in the contact center industry. And I actually think this is the most exciting time in all the time I've been in it, with all the changes that are going on, the really high expectations that consumers bring, and just the level of pace of change. It's just a really exciting space to be in. So great to be with you this morning. And I want to thank Vodacom for inviting me to use this next 15 minutes to introduce to you what we have with Connect. Vodacom are an advanced partner of AWS and have been instrumental in working with us to launch Connect, not just in South Africa, but also provide availability in a number of other countries across Africa as well. So I'm speaking to an august group of contact center professionals, so I barely need to tell you that the notion of the contact center has really evolved in line with expectations of customers. And as self-service offerings mature, allowing customers to solve the majority of their problems on their own or through a virtual assistant, contact centers have become escalation points, and customers are looking for low effort, minimal friction ways to resolve their issue. And what that means is the contact center will handle much more complex inquiries than it has typically before. And often those inquiries come laced with frustration because the other channels and systems have not been able to resolve the customer's issue. And I think this raises the bar on expectations of the competence of the agents. In the days of agents working in the kind of 20th century equivalent of the dark satanic mills doing subhuman, mundane, repetitive tasks, those days are over. Agents today have to be exceptionally empathetic, informed, they have to be equipped and empowered to deliver experiences that turn customers around from being upset, from being brand detractors, to being advocates typically. So if you look at all that expectation, and then you look at what is being deployed, what has been deployed in terms of contact center infrastructure, there's a big gap. And this gap is driving migration to the next generation of contact centers being deployed. With legacy contact center systems, some are going end of life, and you can only sweat those assets for so long. And companies need to purchase and integrate systems from multiple vendors, all governed by seat licenses and hardware and telephony trunks. It makes it really difficult and costly to integrate all of that, to maintain it, to be able to scale to handle peak workloads. If you want to integrate the latest AI and ML, that might be possible, but with legacy platforms, it involves expensive integrations that are often brittle as well. And companies know that CX is the main sustainable competitive advantage that they need to invest in. And there is this race to reduce costs, to flip engagement models to be digital first, and to be able to anticipate what the customer is calling about. So at Amazon, we were frustrated by all of these same challenges when our retail business was going through some hockey stick growth about 12 to 14 years ago. And we started to realize that in order to maintain our focus on wanting to become or to be a customer obsessed company, we needed the right tools to enable exceptional customer experience at scale. But everything we looked at, and we evaluated the kind of contact center space and all the players, everything we looked at just didn't cut it as far as we were concerned. So we built it ourselves. So Amazon Connect emerged from actually about 14 years ago, Amazon Retail turning around and saying, we need our own platform that does things that nothing else does. So today we've got over 70,000 customer service associates supporting millions of customers who speak dozens of languages from customer service centers in about 32 countries across the world. And back in March of 2017, we brought that internal tool to market and branded it Amazon Connect so that other businesses could have that same kind of ability to break free from the challenges that kind of dog the industry. And just like Amazon Retail customer service, now organizations can scale in an instant to handle almost unlimited agent and contact volumes. And the differentiators you'll see on this slide represent why customers are choosing Amazon Connect. And in my opinion, it all starts with business agility. More than any other piece of feedback we get from people learning to work with Connect is how incredibly fast it is to set up, to configure, and to make changes. There's no waiting around for telephony trunks to show up or numbers to be provisioned. Literally within minutes, you can be up and running. And then once you're running, you find that the sort of things that used to take months on legacy systems literally only take minutes. So when COVID hit, our customers who were on Connect obviously had a really powerful head start, both in terms of allowing their agents the freedom to just have a headset and a laptop and work from home. It really didn't matter if they were in the office or at home at all. But also importantly, with things like the routing rules and what happened in the interactive voice response, the IVR, the changes needed to be made to those systems as well to handle the different operating environment. And those changes could be made literally within minutes. And people on legacy systems really struggled to make that kind of change. The second thing is ease of integration. And I know this sounds kind of technical, but often large enterprises will have multiple CRMs, disparate technologies scattered across silos in countries with multiple contact centers. They might have Avaya in the UK, Genesys in Germany, Cisco in Ireland. And the cost to manage all these disparate systems is massive. And the inflexibility that it imposes is like a straitjacket. So with AWS and a piece of, one part of our integration is a piece of almost magic called Lambda. It's a piece of serverless technology, which an engineer can write code for. It sits dormant, not consuming any resources or being charged for until it's needed. When it is, it can be woken up and told to go and fetch customer information. Like if I'm calling in, tell me what flight Nathan is due to go on next. It goes and fetches that piece of information and allows the customer experience to be aware of what is likely to next be happening. And the interesting thing about Lambda is that although an engineer might write the code, the business user actually drags and drops that function into the CX as they design it. So you can literally make changes and have integrations that would have taken a lot longer normally to implement. And then the third thing that's fundamentally different with Connect is how AI and ML is just woven natively into everything that we do. So it obviously leverages natively the AWS AI services. So it allows a contact center designer or operator to create an automated, personalized experience using natural language speech to text. So you provide end customers with the sort of experiences that they're similar to experiencing when they interact, for example, with Alexa every day across all voice and message channels. And so these automated experiences not only improve customer satisfaction by helping them solve problems faster, but they also save our customers millions of dollars in operational costs by deflecting contacts that really don't need agents to be involved. But when an agent is involved, Connect can understand in real time what is being said on the conversation. It can then present relevant forms or documents to the agent proactively, or through real-time sentiment analysis, it can figure out what the next best action for that agent should be. And so the objective really is to make that agent appear almost superhuman and make their job so much easier, which improves obviously employee experience, it reduces handle time, it improves customer satisfaction as well. And then the final thing to talk about, there's many things we can, but is just data freedom as well. Contact centers generate enormous amounts of data about customers, but traditionally it's been frustratingly almost just out of reach, costing almost untenable amounts of either human resources or expensive licenses to export that data, analyze it, transcribe it, understand the impact of what's going on. And a fundamental principle at AWS is that the data is yours. You should be able to access it and do whatever you like with it. And that might sound a statement of the obvious, but it is really surprising how hard legacy vendors make it to, for example, export your call recording so that you can use someone else's speech analytics on it. So that's a fundamental principle that drives a lot of what we do. And then finally, because there are no licenses with Amazon Connect, you pay only for what you use, plus any associated telephony and messaging charges. There's no minimum monthly fees, no long-term commitments, no upfront license charges, and pricing is not based on peak capacity, on agent seats or maintenance. And one thing we're known for is this relentless pace of innovation, and Connect is no exception. So in the 4 years since launch, we've released over 200 major features. So customers who decide to adopt Connect are knowing that they're opting to hitch their CX journey to the pace of innovation that AWS sustains. So the conversations we typically have with customers get elevated away from the traditional conversation around call centers, which is feature function shootouts like RFP responses. Do you do all these things? And instead, we have the conversation about, well, tell us about what you need to achieve in your CX strategy over the course of the next 3 years. How will you ensure business agility? How are you going to implement automation? How can you constantly reduce your operating costs? So not time to go into a lot of this, but thousands of customers across the world are relying on Connect. We're really excited about going GA in South Africa now. We've already got Standard Bank there operating on Amazon Connect, and you can see some of the other larger logos on this slide as well. And when the pandemic hit in March and April of 2000, we saw 5,000 new instances of Connect being stood up and used. So pulling all that together, the pain that customers experience operating legacy infrastructures and the benefits they realize when they move to Connect, all this has been well proven. Forrester Research did a study on Connect users. They looked in depth over a number of months at the ROI that Connect users experienced, and they found a 241% ROI compared to operating with other CCaaS platforms. And on this slide, you'll see examples from 12 Connect customers of the business benefits. I'll just highlight 4 of them. GE realized a 52% reduction in TCO. Bustle stated they needed half the staff to build and operate their contact center. 3M said that contact center deployments are 6 times faster with Connect. And Intuit said they went from all of their staff in IT focused on infrastructure to instead running 100 CX experiments in the first 6 months. And so just to kind of leave you with that thought, just drilling into Intuit a little bit deeper, their contact center handles over 130,000 calls or nearly 2 million minutes of talk time in a single day. And during peak season, they have 33,000 agents in over 100 teams across 11 countries. So it's kind of similar in scale to what BPOs operate. And with their previous contact center system, their contact center ops team was just 100% focused on preparing for that peak load season. And doing load testing, managing licenses, upgrading and patching applications, and doing, due to the complexity of the system, that meant that whole team basically spent all their time just keeping the lights on. Once they migrated their 33,000 agents to Connect, then they were able to say that they had run, instead of that team being focused on keeping the lights on, they actually were able to run 100 A/B tests, experiments on improving their CX with Amazon Connect. So it kind of gives you the idea of that business agility that customers are looking for. So lots more to say. You know, hopefully I've stuck to time. I hope you found that useful. I'd love to engage with you individually if you're interested. Please just contact me and I'll put you in touch with experts that we have on Amazon Connect there in South Africa. So Neville, over to you.
Well, I do have some questions here for you guys. So if everybody wants to come on video, then we can go through some of these questions. If there are any more questions that you guys want to post out there, please feel free to do so. But I think let's go to the property one, because that was quite interesting to me. Is Chantal, how long in advance do companies actually have to approach you in order to, you know, get you to find them a property, set it up, make sure that it's available for them to operate?
Yeah, thank you, Neville. Just checking my sound again. Sorry, I just had to move boardroom, so excuse my poor quality and background.
No, it's all good.
Neville,
We can hear you.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, that largely varies. As per my case studies, you know, we had a extreme couple of examples where a client needed access to spaces in a very short period of time, where they signed contracts and deals globally and had to do urgent rollouts within a month or two. So fortunately, in those circumstances, and with local expertise, etc., we are able to unlock fully furnished and fitted properties, etc., and fortunately, mostly with decent infrastructure for IT. But on a regular basis, if you go on to, for example, a normal white box or grey box space, you know, which could be purposely built or just availability in the market at present, that normally takes a bit longer. The IT infrastructure, especially. And I know with recent customers saying they have to order items in from overseas, which can take 6 to 8 weeks on its own. And then to that, we have, as I mentioned, designers on board who do space planning and fitting, etc., and doing budget costings. And all those take around, I would say, the build itself between 2 and 3 months for anything in excess of 1,000, or maybe even a month or two, depending on the urgency of it. But for us to do full market analysis on, as I mentioned, normal circumstances, we like to meet with the client, establish all their requirements intensively, go to the market, find stock, whether it's globally or locally, present it to them, work through various opportunities or options, go do site visits, engage with landlords, and then normally the contracts take a bit longer to negotiate. But yeah, so all in all, I'd say 3 to 4 months is normally a safe space, but we can perform very well.
Okay, oh no, that's quite a tight time frame. Can I just ask you, Nathan? I mean, I think a lot of contact centers have got a lot of vested interest in technologies that they've already invested in, and that that provide critical things like reporting, like recording. You know, they might have a whole bunch of legacy recordings that they still need to take care of. You know, how does Amazon Connect integrate into an existing environment when those technologies are still important to the, let's say, to an operator?
Yeah, so that a good question, and you know, we recognize that journey from a kind of the old technology into this the new world of having a cloud, a CCaaS platform that's a lot more flexible. It is a journey. It's like very few people do that in one big leap, and so they need to keep other systems in place while they change out maybe the core switching technology. So we, you know, as you might expect, we've got almost, I would venture to say there's no major piece of contact center technology that has not had an integration to Amazon Connect built, tested, validated. So we've got about 155 ISV partners who have built about 400 different integrations of their products to Amazon Connect and had them tested. So like I say, this it would surprise me if a piece of technology had not already had an integration built. But even if it hasn't, you know, it's typically not a heavy lift to build that integration.
Okay, no, thanks for that. Claudia, there's a question here for you. As we enter into these multi-channel environments, we see a lot more channels coming on board, and that operators need to be delivering on, and that contact centers need to be delivering on. What is your view around those channels that you think are new and emerging and should be considered?
100%. Thanks, Neville. Good question. In my personal opinion, I mean, there's multiple technologies that can provide these channels already, right? It's just bringing them into the one platform, so they're the full customer journey, the customer view, the full 360 view. On a personal note, I think what I'd like to see, especially in South Africa, is more a push to more video. Specifically in a customer experience environment. So for example, as a channel, it still has exactly the same reporting metrics that any other channel would have in a call center. But I think it's just the customer experience of actually sitting face to face with someone, specifically if it is, for example, an insurance query or something like that, where you can actually physically have empathy or sympathy with the person via video. And the advantage to that is just customer experience. It's the ability to see someone who can actually understand your frustration and obviously be able to kind of have the sympathy to walk that journey with you to sort it out. On the upside, it's just another channel. The metrics are there, the reporting is there, so you can just bring it in as you're working into your current environment. For me, it's just purely the one-on-one basis of actually having a face to understand my problem and helping me sort it out.
Well, and I guess everyone being on Zoom and on all these conferences these days, I think it is a lot more acceptable for people to put themselves out there on video. So yeah, probably a 100%. Good idea to think about that. Yeah. Nathan, one more for you is obviously Connect is a very different technology, and to what everybody out there is used to. Do you provide any guidance, direction, information that will allow, someone that's been more affair with the traditional way of building a contact center, how do they approach this? How do they even consider going into this new world where everything is as dynamic as you've explained to us?
Yeah, I mean, I would say we have a couple of really interesting programs to address that. One on the business side and one on technical. So on business, like we invite, some significant, larger BPO operator would qualify for this, but we invite some large customers in to actually see what we do in our call center. So we'll take them in and say, this is how we handle things. And, here are the metrics we run our call center by. And so just to have that dialogue at a business level of what the technology can deliver by way of CX, but then on the technical side, we run things that we call immersion days. So, typically you could send, 5 or 20 people on an immersion day where the technical people get to play with Connect and they get to see how, ridiculously simple and quick it is to stand it up and make changes. So they get their hands dirty with the technology and inevitably they kind of come away from that going, this actually is incredibly powerful. And that starts the dialogue for, what does that migration look like for you? And then, we've got programs that will help that migration both commercially and to do it in a safe way, using best practices that we've honed over the years to migrate contact centers. So that's how I would handle those.
And am I correct in saying that anyone out there could actually sign up for an AWS account, activate a Core Connect environment, try it out, play with it? I mean, is it that simple?
It literally is that simple. And that's why I said we had 5,000 new instances set up in 2 months when COVID hit. People were getting credit cards out, signing up, standing up. I actually yesterday found out about a customer in the Netherlands who, didn't wait for one of our partners to pick up the phone. They just did exactly that. Signed up to an AWS account, built their own Connect contact center, and then, to everyone's shock, kind of come back and say, well, I built this, I need a bit of help to make it scale. And so it is incredibly easy to do that.
That's great. Okay, and then maybe Claudia, we're out of time really, but there is one more just around, from your perspective, how do you help customers from a consulting point of view? Given that it's so easy, I mean, if Nathan is saying this is so easy, what is the consulting services that you bring that makes the difference? And if you can just try and get it in on 30 seconds, then we're done.
No problems, 100%. Yeah, so everything is accessible, but it just means that you have to partner with someone who actually has that contact center operational business acumen. Technology is technology. It's a great enabler, but it obviously needs to be put into and you have to work with a partner that can make sure that it aligns to processes internally in the business. Features and functions are just not good enough anymore. It's actually how you implement it and make sure that there's a business value. So consulting is imperative with the larger corporates to kind of understand their process, understand what value they can add by using technology instead of just basing it all on technology.
Thank you, Claudia. And thank you, Chantal and Nathan. Appreciate your inputs today. The next showcase session will be next week. So and continue during the month of March. So if there are any members out there that would still like to participate, please feel free to reach out to me and to let me know. But with that, I'd like to thank everyone and wish you a good day.
Thanks, Neville.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.